G'day and welcome to The Life Aquatic with Rob Bull.
This is Larry D's Tanks and More, and you're watching The Life Aquatic with Rob Bull. Take it away, Rob.
Thanks, Larry. G'day, YouTube. That was, as you may have already determined, Larry from Larry D's Tanks and More. Larry has a very similar tank to the Thunderdome, which I like to call Larry's Boneyard. It's full of skulls and stuff. And my favourites, African cichlid. In today's episode, we'll be doing my first ever top 10 list, so strap yourselves in, grab hold of your chairs, and make sure you head over and check out Larry's channel. Naturally, the link will be in the description. Rob's top 10 list, number 10. And coming in at number 10, remembering that these are in no particular order, is the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle is the process by which your fish's waste, so its poop, and the ammonia that it excretes through its gills is turned from poison into plant food. Understanding the nitrogen cycle is vital to keeping a healthy and happy aquarium. Fortunately, I've already made a video on the nitrogen cycle. I'll pop a link to that one in the description, and I'll also make it one of the end cards that you can click on if you want to hang around and finish the movie. Number 9. Coming in at number 9, we have Know Your Water. So, what do I mean by this? I mean test your water. Find out how hard it is, what the pH is, what your general hardness is, and what your carbonate hardness is, or KH. KH may be the most important one of all, so that will determine whether or not your pH will fluctuate. So essentially this means either buying a test kit, which can be quite pricey actually for a beginning aquarist, or you can simply go to your local fish store, and most will be quite happy to test your water for you. Once you know what's in your water, you can then go home, jump on the internet and research what kind of fish will thrive in that situation. And for a beginner, I would suggest getting those fish that will thrive in those conditions. It will save you many hours of work trying to alter the chemistry of your water. Number 8. At number 8 we have Get to Know Your Fish. So getting to know the way your fish behave when they are happy and healthy is a vital tool for understanding when they're not happy and healthy. Changes in fish behaviour are usually the first indicator that you'll get that your fish is sick, particularly if it's sick with something that is likely to kill it, like mycobacteria or fish TB, as it's more commonly known. Hexamida, intestinal parasites, all those sort of things will usually present first as changes in the fish's behaviour. And if you notice those changes, you can act early and get things under control fast and before much actual damage is done to the fish. Remember folks, prevention is way better than cure. Number 7. At number 7 we have one that I think is very important for beginning aquarists, and that is finding a system that works for you and sticking with it. Whenever you look on the internet, you'll find a million people telling you how to do this, that, or the other, including myself right now. And let's face it, not everyone can be right, and equally, not everyone can be wrong. As my wise old dad used to say, there are many ways to skin a cat. So, once you find something that works for you, stick with it until it doesn't work anymore. And if it does stop working, try something new. After 24 years, I think now, in the aquarium hobby, I'm starting to experiment with different ways of doing things. But that's only something that's happened in the last 4 or 5 years or so. And I think another important thing to remember is that you have to learn to walk before you can run. So in the beginning, don't bite off more than you can chew. Number 6. At number 6 we have using your nose. So, learn what your tank smells like when it's up and running healthily, because when you do find that strange things are afoot at the Circle K, you will be able to notice that via your honker long before your peepers will register it. Yes, that's right, you will be able to smell it before you can see things like cloudy water developing. Number 5. At number 5 we have the fact that water changes are your friend. Not just your scheduled water changes that you do as regular maintenance, but if you are to discover a fish behaving abnormally, smell something odd, etc., etc., water changes will, more often than not, stop that problem dead in its tracks. Most, if not all, fish diseases are brought on by a compromised immune system, which is brought about by stress. And in normal conditions in most aquariums, that stress is caused by poor water quality. So something as simple as a water change can really make a huge difference and stop a problem before it really begins. As for scheduled water changes, that's something that you'll have to work out for yourself. Every situation is different, but once you get it worked out, stick to it. Intermission. Bet you weren't expecting an intermission. Just wanted to take a quick moment to remind you guys to like and share this one out if you did like the movie. And if you haven't, to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell, because that will really help me out. And hey, costs you nothing. So that was my idiot nephew, who for some reason wanted that footage put on YouTube, and some footage of a puppy sitting on a dog's head to keep you amused during the intermission. Number 4. At number 4 we have the fact that algae, or algae, is not always your enemy. In fact, more often than not, it's your friend. Unless you're getting blackbeard algae, or blue-green algae, which really isn't even an algae at all. It is in fact a photosynthetic bacteria, and it's simply performing the same function as plants and providing an even better food source for herbivorous fish, small fish, and microorganisms and crustaceans. Really, the only downside to most forms of algae is the aesthetic side of it. Fortunately, I've already done a bit on algae. It's a bit old, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'll remake it at some stage, but I'll throw a link to it in the description. Number 3. At number 3 we have plants. In my opinion, plants are a vital piece of the puzzle that is your closed ecosystem, aka your aquarium. For a start, they are nature's ammonia sponge, soaking up both some raw ammonia and soaking up tons of nitrates, the end product of the nitrogen cycle. And trust me, this stuff is much better as part of your plants than floating in your water. Not only that, while the lights are on, they help to oxygenate the water. They provide a good food source for microorganisms and crustaceans and stuff like that. And they also provide a lot of surface area for beneficial bacteria to grow on. Some plants can be pretty tricky to grow, normally the ones that look the best, but there are ways of cheating. I don't have time to be maintaining difficult to grow species of plants. I use Java moss, which is almost impossible to kill, to fulfill the biological function of plants. And for the pretty plants, I use fake ones. Really, there are very few reasons not to have plants in your aquarium. And of those plants, in my opinion, Java moss is the best. Nothing seems to eat it, cichlids don't seem to destroy it, and it grows fairly quickly and soaks up a lot of nitrates. Perfect. Number 2. At number 2 we have cycling your aquarium. This one's really for the new fish keepers out there. For a healthy and happy aquarium, you need to have a cycled tank. Now, cycling a tank from scratch can take from 2 to 4 weeks to do, and it's one of the big factors that stops new people from setting up tanks when they find that out. Fortunately, there is a way to do it pretty much instantly. Well, instantly I would say. I have done a video on it, and I'll pop a link to that in the description. Just keep in mind, if you do get media from a pet store, you're not likely to get much, so don't grab too many fish at once, and cut back on the feeding when you begin. Number 1. And for number 1 we have don't chase water parameters. I see it far too often that people are chasing the exact perfect conditions for their fish, leading to fluctuations in the water chemistry. These fluctuations in the water chemistry are far more damaging than slightly off conditions. In my opinion, it's always better to have stable water conditions than the absolute perfect water conditions for that particular fish. This sort of ties in with what I said towards the beginning about knowing your water parameters and choosing fish that will do well in those water parameters. If you do that and you keep the water stable, you will find you will have great success with fish. Now, that is it for the top 10 list, although I would like to throw in a couple of honourable mentions. The first of the honourable mentions is do not clean your filters and your substrate with tap water. You will kill the beneficial bacteria that are on there, and you will have an ammonia spike, which will not necessarily always kill your fish, but there's a good chance it will. Tap water in most Western countries is treated with chemicals to kill bacteria, and when your entire enclosed ecosystem relies on that bacteria to thrive, killing it is not a great idea. Remember guys, if it's got a surface area that's in contact with the water, chances are that surface area is covered in beneficial bacteria. And the second honourable mention is that everything can usually be done cheaper. You can build your own filters. You can usually find tanks extremely cheap on places like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and Gumtree, all those sort of places. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you can even find them for free. You can save money on substrate and rocks by either collecting them from the wild or going to a landscaping place. The prices that your local fish store charge for gravel and sand are likely quite ridiculous. And before we finish up here, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to DPK Fish Aquariums. He is the genius behind my new logo. He delivered it halfway through recording this voiceover, so I've tacked on the shout out at the end. Make sure you head over to his channel and check it out, and if you like what you see, hit him up with a subscription, because this man does a lot for the fish fam. The link to his channel will of course be in the description. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to gently caress that like button, share it out if you really liked it, and if you're new to the joint, that subscribe button. All these things really help me out and they don't cost you nothing. And as always, remember to look after each other and your fish.